Welcome to Bumping Into Walls. My name is Anthony Hodgetts, and with me is Marianne Rochon. And this month, we have a guest from Orlando, Florida, Michael Golder from the Blind and Beyond radio show. Welcome aboard, Michael, and glad you made it.
Well, thank you so much. All the way from Florida, USA.
So I'm going to pass you over to Marianne because she's got a couple of great questions she's just going to ask, and we're just going to have a good conversation and see where it goes.
Wonderful. So here goes my first question, Michael.
Wait a minute. Get ready for this question. Wait a minute. Okay. Ready for the question. Ready. I'm ready.
You're ready? Great. My first question is, what caused your blindness?
Stress. My eyes are fine. The stress did my brain in. So my brain caused two things. The stress caused my brain to go blind, and also cancer. So I got cancer, which I beat, thank God. I got prostate cancer, and I beat that, thank God. But I lost my vision.
I see. Well, I'm sorry about that. So my next question is, what motivates you every day?
What motivates me every day? Well, first of all, I'm glad I'm alive. That's what motivates me. First thing, I'm glad I'm alive.
Wonderful.
I have a great life and a great wife. And I'm motivated because, just as I said, glad to be alive.
Wonderful to hear. Great. So my next question is, I heard through the grapevine that you were in the garment industry.
That's correct.
What can you tell me about that part of your life?
Well, I was 45 years in the garment industry. I started off as a salesman, and then I started my own company. And when I started my own company, it just became bigger and bigger. I was president and CEO for about 45 years in the garment industry. I built a multi-million-dollar business, and I always specialized in something. I tried to go always where no one else was. I found that out in life. In life, the whole thing is to try to do something where nobody else is at. I did that with the radio show. I did that in the garment industry. So we always specialized in something.
That's wonderful. What was the one thing that you specialized in that you're most proud of today?
That's very interesting. Well, the number one thing that I'm proud of the most is starting Blind and Beyond radio show.
Wonderful.
When we started it, we had no listeners. We built it up to now we have over 1 million people listening to the radio show. And it's a huge listening audience. We've got some great sponsors. We built up sponsors over the last 7 years. And from AARP to Foundation Fighting Blindness to CVS drugstores to Spectrum Communication, the cable people. We just got Humanware from Canada. We've got a lot of Canadian companies sponsoring our radio show.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Great. So my next question would be, do you have any issues with telecommunications for the blind today? And technology?
When it comes to technology, I'm zero. I leave that up to my wife. My family, it's funny, very funny. I just had a birthday party, and in my party, my brother was there, and I took my brother over. My brother's sighted, and he's 5 years older than me. So I took my brother over to some of my blind friends, and I said to my brother, so tell me something. I asked my brother, can you use, and I knew the answer, can you use a computer? His answer was no. Can you do anything technical? My brother said no. I said, why not? He said, I don't want to. My brother said, if it wasn't around 50 years ago, why should I learn it now? And my answer is basically the same way. I don't want to. I guess if I wanted to, I would. But I guess you would say this way. I've never been much in technical things. So when it comes to anything that's technical, I say on the radio, I can't be a fraud because I always said I didn't want to do it. So bottom line is I tell the truth. So the truth is when it comes to technical things, why should I tell someone else to do something that I don't do? So I don't do it.
Great answer. I'm the same way. I have a lot of issues with technology and everything else, but we muddled through somehow. Anthony, do you have a question now for Michael?
Yeah, you know what? I've always wondered this. So when you started Blind and Beyond, I assumed that there was just you and your wife hosting it. Now you have co-hosts. How did you choose the people that co-host your show with you?
Well, before we had Blind and Beyond radio show, we had another show called Blind Matters. Blind and Beyond radio show is a nonprofit radio show. Blind Matters, we had investors. When we had investors, we used to go out on the road and meet people. When I went on the road one day, we had a big meeting and some of the co-hosts we met at this meeting. And they became involved with the radio show all the time. When I say all the time, I mean all the time. If you listen to Blind and Beyond radio show, you will notice, like a lot of other radio shows that I listen to that are talk shows, you find the same people calling it all the time. Even though we have lots and lots of listeners, they don't call in. It's unusual for someone to call in a new listener. We always give them prizes. We always give them things to call in. But like myself, I've been listening to talk radio for the one show for 20 years, sports, and I don't call in. My son listens to the same show that I listen to. He don't call in, and he's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So most people who listen to talk radio usually don't call in. They listen and they listen. So when I say it in the audience, okay, new caller, you call in right now. But Christmas time, we buy them dinner. We give out $25 gift cards for Christmas dinner. Just by calling in, we give them $25. So
that's great.
We give out, a month ago, we gave out, anybody wants a shirt, a beautiful shirt, free of charge, call in. We give you, the first 35 people, we gave out 35 shirts, and an hour and a half, the shirts were gone. Some people did not want to go on the radio. They just said, they called the studio and they said, they gave their name and their address, but they wouldn't want to go on the radio. A lot of people don't want to go on the radio. They're shy. God knows why they don't go on the radio, but they don't want to go on the radio.
If they're anything like me, they think they sound terrible on the radio and they don't want nobody to hear them.
Well,
that's what I always say.
What else can I tell you?
On your radio show,
yes.
Is there anything special you do outside the box that nobody else can hold a candle to?
Yeah, telling the truth, to tell it the way it is. I mean, right between the eyes, tell it as it is. When I say as it is, I mean the way it is. Like I'll say on the radio, if you're blind, I don't want to hear the nonsense that you can't do this because you're blind. I don't want to hear that. Because you are blind, I don't want to hear it. Because the point is, I'm blind. And my wife will make me do something. She'll always say to me, go do it. I said, well, I can't find this. I can't find that. Go look for it. And my wife is sighted and she doesn't realize sometimes she moves things around, especially in the refrigerator, and I can't find it. I put it on the right in a certain spot and she moves it. And it's hard to tell certain things. And she'll say to me, smell it, go look for it. And she makes me do things, which normally I don't want to do, but she'll make me do it. And I say this on the air all the time. So the point is, the show is for real, number one. Number two, we spend a lot of money giving out a lot of prizes. Every week we give out prizes. A lot of people think these are trades, but we don't. We give Subway. Subway doesn't give us a dime. We give out $10 gift cards we do all kinds of things. Every week we give out music. I'll give out questions. Times I'll say, okay, give me 3 airlines that went out of business that are no longer in existence. Some people call up, and by the time they're finished, maybe 10 people called up and they gave them 10 prizes. This week, if you listen to the show, you'll hear me asking other questions, not musical questions, but different questions. I asked a question that was amazing that nobody even knew, and I was shocked. I said, what president of the United States was in a wheelchair? One president was in a wheelchair. Who was it? Huh? FDR. Yeah, but now you heard it, but I'm saying. But at the time, if you knew it, some people said Theodore Roosevelt. No, wrong. What do you mean? It wasn't Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt rode a horse. Nope.
Yes, he did.
But so there's a lot of questions I'll ask people that they should know, and they don't. And I don't care if you're blind or not. The question is, I'll ask questions that people should know. Like, if you're in the United States, you should know what president was handicapped. He was in a wheelchair. And a lot of people didn't know it. So the show is for real. A lot of people don't like our radio show. I asked a few people in California why they didn't like the show, and they said that the word was, I couldn't even understand. First of all, I didn't understand. They said I was too unorthodox. I said, what do you mean by unorthodox? Well, you should be talking more about more blind subjects, you're too unorthodox. You discuss everything. I said, that's right. We discuss everything. The only two things we don't discuss, we don't talk politics, no politics allowed on the radio show, and no religion. No religion and no politics. But anything else is open. Anything is open.
Perfect.
No religion, no politics, but everything else we discuss. And I don't want to discuss, you see, one thing I'm very proud of. Our radio show, 30% of our audience is sighted. If you listen to our audience, a lot of people call in that are sighted. And I love that. And matter of fact, some of the people are regulars that are regular sighted folks listening to the radio show. And if you listen, I'll ask them, why are you listening to the radio show if you're sighted? And they'll say, because some people, one guy said he's a cab driver and he likes listen to the show because it's funny. One guy said he drives home from work, he listens 2 hours and it keeps him laughing for a 2-hour drive home. So the point is, we have different people listening to the show. Because I always said this way, when I was sighted, I didn't know a blind person until I'm blind. And the point is, a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand a lot of things. I'll tell you one thing I'm going to ask this week. I started to ask last week. I'm going to discuss it this week. This week, I'm going to be talking about something that a lot of blind people want to be independent. Okay. Well, if you want to be independent.
I'm living fact of it. I'm very independent.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you something right now. A lot of people want to be independent, but they don't understand something. And I'll tell you what they don't understand, because I know this for a fact. If you are visually impaired or blind and someone invites you to a party. They invite you to a party, whether it's your birthday party, your anniversary party, or wedding, whatever. They invited you somewhere that's a birthday party, an anniversary party, a wedding or something. And you go, you're invited. And you don't bring a card, C-A-R-D, card. You just go empty-handed. I'm not talking about gift. I forget the gift. You might not be able to afford a gift, but at least you can afford a card, C-A-R-D, card. Otherwise, you shouldn't go. If you can't afford a card, then you shouldn't go to the wedding or birthday party or something. Don't tell me that you're blind or visually impaired. I don't want to hear that. That's a nonsense thing that you say you can't afford a card, or because you're blind, you can't see the card. Do you have anybody? You go to CVS drugstore, wherever you have up in Canada, you go in this place and you say, can you help me? And because I know this, we have Publix supermarket down here. And I've asked, I go over to customer service and I said, pardon me, can someone go around with me? They say, yes. So someone goes me around. I said, can you go to the cards? They go to the cards. I said, can you read me a card for a wedding or something? And they'll read me cards. They'll read it to me. And I'll say, that's the card I want. I want to buy it. Fine. So now the point is, the person who's visually impaired or blind can do the same thing. We're going to be discussing this week on the radio. So if you listen to this week, you'll hear me talking about it and discuss it. You'll see who calls up, who doesn't call up. The point is, if I play a record, a song that's stupid, Anthony can tell you, the phone doesn't stop ringing. People call up all over the United States or Canada, wherever, they'll call up and mention a song. If I mention this subject, we'll see how many people call up and discuss the subject with me. I guarantee you not more than 1 or 2 people will call up and discuss this because whatever reason they won't call up. Anything I talk that's, to me, very important, people don't call up. Something stupid, they'll call up. That's the truth. Huh?
Well, that's just the way people
That's the way it is.
That's just the way people are wired, I guess.
That's correct. That's correct. It's like, here's what's funny. And I listen to Sports Channel from Philadelphia because I'm a Philadelphia Phillies. I used to live in Philadelphia for 40 years. So I became what they call a sports nut from Philadelphia. Now, listen to this, is funny. If the team loses, the phone doesn't stop ringing. If the team wins, nobody calls. They only call up and as they said, use the word be. The bottom line is they'll say and they'll cry if they lose. But if they win, nobody calls. So the host has to keep on talking about, make up other stuff. They'll discuss movies, they'll discuss anything else because people aren't calling up and discuss the team because they're winning. But if they lose, oh my goodness, people will call up and gripe. That's the way it is. I don't care if you're visually impaired or blind. That's the way the world we live in. If everything is going wrong, they argue.
It's like children. Bad attention is better than no attention. I do have another question. Do you have any specific shows to deal with children?
We used to have a show on the radio for more than I think it went for 11 months. We had our own, we had an 11-year-old who was the host. And we had her co-host was 17-year-old. And it was strictly for children. It didn't work.
That's wonderful.
It didn't work.
Oh, wow.
It didn't work. I'll tell you why. Children are not geared for radio.
That's true.
So our radio show, 80% of our audience, 80% is over the age of 40. Under 40, it's only 20%. From 40 to basically about 25. Under 25, maybe we have a handful of people under the age of 25. A handful. They don't exist.
Oh, wow.
Because under 25, they don't listen to radio. They listen to music if they're on the radio. They just don't listen. And I don't care what I do about it because I've done it many different ways. As I said, we had our own radio show for kids and they weren't calling in.
Wow, I find that a bit odd. Do you think that the parents with a blind child would call in to find out things, learn more, give their opinions?
Well, you have to understand something. A lot of parents are embarrassed, first of all, that their kid is blind.
That's a sin. That's a sin.
Well, that's the world we live in. Well, I'll give you another thought. Why is it the cane manufacturers will say that half the people in the United States, I don't know about Canada, I'm saying the United States now, that in the United States, half the people that are blind don't use canes or dogs. They use nothing. I know.
That's amazing.
I didn't know when I went blind, I didn't know about a cane. I used to bump into walls. I bumped into everything. And my favorite one was bumping into glass doors. My nose got hurt so many times. And then I got a cane and I never go without it. I have a couple canes. I walk out my door without using a cane because I feel that's my navigator, number one, and it's my security blanket, number two. But a lot of people listen to our radio show, they don't use canes. They use nothing. They're number one, they're embarrassed. They don't want anybody to know they're blind.
Well, here in Canada, they're big on giving you a cane. I call mine my stick, and it's my eyes. And I don't leave without having my stick. If I can't find my stick, I just won't go. Don't matter what it is that I have to do. I'm
surprised you call it a stick because I always correct everybody when they call it a stick. I always say cane.
Oh, well, maybe it's just my Canadian way. I call it a stick. And
are you saying stick? Are you saying stick or shtick?
Stick.
Stick. Okay.
And I depend on it so much. Without that, I can't do anything, or I believe I can't function without it.
Well, I'm the same way. When I go out of the house, I have to have my cane. Even if I go around the yard, I take my cane because I feel comfortable. Yeah,
I hear you. I'm the same way. Now, as for CNI dogs, well, we have issues in Canada. We have depletion of CNI dogs. So getting a dog is a little harder. Us here in Canada, a lot of people are on a waiting list for dogs. as I am right now. So yeah.
Oh, so you can't go. You can't go to the States to bring a dog in.
Yeah,
Oh.
you can, but the rules and stipulations with the CNIB, it has to be a certain breed, certain dog, certain this, certain that.
Oh.
Has to be certified. It's very political, and so that's why it takes a really long time to get a dog. But I'm hoping that I will get one someday. I just hope it's not too far in the future, but we won't, dwell on that because I have my shtick for now. And that's what that is all about. So, Anthony, do you have any other questions?
So where do you think that your show will be? What types of guests have you had that you thought were memorable? What types were not so memorable? That's a big, large question, so take it any way you like.
No, we go to the gamut. So I leave that up to my programmer, who happens to be my wife, but I don't get involved with that.
But do you have some that you prefer to work with versus others? Are there some guests that you are more willing to work with? Like if you've got a guest and they're dealing with employment, I know that's one of your big things. Would you be thinking that would be where you'd want the show to go? Because for what I'm understanding from people, what you're telling me, people want a boring show. Well, do you know how many shows there are that are so boring they don't mean anything to the sighted community? What you're doing is bridging the gap between the two.
Well, we've discussed this on the air quite a few times, and I'll never forget the one person said from, I forget, North Carolina, that because I was playing certain music was boring. And then somebody from Canada called in and said, your show is never boring. I don't care what you do. But the bottom line is, I've always learned in all my life, I've always been called classified as a type personality, A like alpha personality. I've always been aggressive all my life. I don't know how to be any other way. So the point is the same with the show. The show is funny. The show is off the wall many times. If you're looking for just blind things going on, that's not our show. The first thing about our show, our job is to entertain. That's our first mission, entertain. The second mission of our show is to educate. The third is to, besides educate, is to inform. And the last, which we get people jobs who want jobs, trying to get them a job. So, and then the one thing, well, I don't call it a mission, but it's a big part of the show, to teach sighted people about the blind person, because that's why we started Blind and Beyond, or begin with, because I wanted the sighted people to know that we're more than pencil pushers. So when we started the show, and now the 30% of our audience is sighted, I love it. Because no show has our diversified that we have. We have sighted, we have blind, you name the religion, we got it. I don't care whether you're white, black, we have a big black audience. I love it. We have all different types. So the bottom line is we are totally diversified, totally, and I love it. Nobody has that. For everybody. Yeah. I mean, everybody. So that's why I love it. I love our radio show. I get a kick out when sometimes I hang up, put down my headphones if we have it that day, and I'll say to myself, that was a good show. Or sometimes I'll say, that wasn't a good show. And it depends on the callers. The callers make the show a good show or a bad show, as far as I'm concerned. Because if we're getting people calling in, if I'm getting a lot of sighted people calling in, if I'm getting a lot of people calling in all different nationalities, different colors, different religion, then I say it's a good show. Because I have all that diversification. So.
Yes, that's wonderful to hear. Do you have a lot of questions about people trying to learn Braille?
No. Do we have any questions? We have people come on to talk about Braille, but we don't ask questions about Braille.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
We have people discuss Braille. We have companies that want to sell things that are Braille, but the audience, nobody. I've never heard people call up and ask questions about Braille. A lot of my people, my personal friends, pretty much all I'm thinking, most of my friends know Braille. Only probably 2 or 3 that don't. I'm one of them. that don't know Braille, but a lot of folks, it seemed this way. Here's the rule of thumb usually. If a person's born blind, they know Braille. If a person lost their eyesight young in life, they know Braille. Under the age of, let's just say, under the age of 40, if they lost their eyesight under the age of 40, they know Braille. But if someone lost their eyesight after the age of 45, 50, they don't know Braille. That's usually the rule of thumb that I'll give it. Because most of the people that I know that don't know Braille, don't know anything pretty much in the blind community. These are people that lost their sight like myself. I lost my sight at the age of 65. So most people that I know that lost their sight at 60, 65, they don't know anything like me. I learned it from going to Lighthouse, which is out in Orlando, which is a mobility school. And thanks to my wife, who's sighted, who makes me do things. So I use the microwave myself. She won't do it for me. A lot of things my wife will not do for me that I always ask her to do it. She won't do it. So she'll do it yourself. Now, if my mother was alive, may she rest in peace, my mother would be babying me to no end. If my mother was alive, I would know nothing because my mother would do everything for me. That's the way she was. When I was a kid, my mother and father wouldn't do anything for her. They do everything for my brother. That's one of the reasons my brother and I know nothing about. I can put a light bulb in the house. That's about it. A light bulb. Because my parents did everything for me. And did everything for my brother. My parents wouldn't even let us, my brother and I, shovel the snow. My father did all that himself. He said, you do your homework. Do your homework is more important. So.
Yeah, I understand everything, yeah. Because I went blind at the age of 45. So, yeah, I don't know Braille either. And it's really hard to try to get into it. I get what you're saying. But Anthony, on the other hand, he's been blind since birth, so he knows.
Well, then he knows Braille. Yeah. But anyway, he went to, and Anthony, without even asking, you went to blind school, right? Well, how'd you learn Braille in school? They taught you in school?
Yeah, they had special teachers that would come through. So you guys have the Florida School for the Blind, and they also have a second stream, at least in Canada, that most of them people go through it now. They go through they have specialized teachers that travel from school to school, and that's how I learned Braille. Oh, the first few years, though, I was in just a regular, like a specialized class. I forgot about that. So for the first 4 years, you're right. I was in a specialized class, and that's where we learned our Braille, and then they just moved us out from there.
Okay. I know I thought about this. If I lost my eyesight, let's say when I was 2 or 3 or 4, I'd want to go to a blind school.
I would, too.
Be honest with you. I'll even tell you why. Because going to school that I went to, I was short. So I was always picked on. Why we started this radio show, if you ask me, why did you start this radio show? You never asked me that question. I'll tell you that right now. Because I was picked on being a blind person, a blind adult.
Yes.
What happened was I was working for a radio station as a salesman. That's a whole subject in itself. Because when I was in the garment industry, I was always a salesperson, besides being CEO and president. So somebody asked me a question just recently. What can you do well? What do you use? I said, my mouth, always my mouth. So I've always talked. So people have said I was a born salesman. So when I went blind, what am I going to do? So always has the big word, plan B. Remember that, folks, plan B. You always have to have a plan B. In your life, you have to have plan B, because if A is not working, you got to go to B. And if you don't have a plan B, you better have one. Always in life, you always have to have a plan B in life. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, I hear you. I have plan A, B, and C.
Okay, well, my sister's like that, yeah. So the point is, I always have a plan B.